All right, we are back for the conclusion of my look at Great Battles of the American Revolution, Rhode Island. And we're finishing up from our other video, the intro with the movement and the artillery and all that great stuff. So today we're just going to cover close combat and the tactics cards and how leaders affect combat and that sort of thing. The stuff that I wanted to cover before, but decided that it might make the video too long. So what I'm going to do is kind of show everyone a few examples. And remember, we're doing Rhode Island, so there's no rifle fire. I couldn't find any rifle units in Rhode Island. So we're just going to go straight to the close combat part of your turn sequence, which is page 3 of the series rules. And we would skip the rifle fire phase and go right to close combat. And you can watch my other video for that to see what that was all about. We're going to put out here John Glover, who had a band of brothers called the Marbleheaders. The 14th, I believe that was the 14th, I believe you commanded. And he's kind of famous for that. George Washington actually chartered one of his boats. I think the boat was called the Hannah, and he used it to raid British supply vessels. The Marblehead Militia, or like Glover's regiment, was the 14th Continental Regiment. And these guys were known to be just fierce fighters. And I believe he died in 1797 at age 64. Some interesting facts there. He was born in 1732. Okay, so what I'm going to do is kind of give a few examples here of just what distraction is. And how the tactics card works. And we're also going to go in and kind of look at this solo thing that Joel Toppin has done here. This is the solo player sheet to pick tactics, kind of like an AI guidance. If you're not too familiar with all these formations and tactics, you can actually use this to kind of make that part of the game easier. There's also a combat odds table that I downloaded to make this quickly go faster. All this stuff was on Board Game Geek, so yeah, you might want to check that out. So that we're going to keep the morale is going to be the same. We're still sitting at the starting morale up here, which there's no die roll modifiers to the morale, and we'll skip the initiative part. We're going to say that the Patriots have won the initiative. And this is where we are at the start of the turn there, where the phasing player will be the Patriots. And we'll kind of take it from there, and I'll show you how some things work here. There's going to be lots of examples here, so just kind of bear with me. Hopefully my math is good. So close combat is the phasing player is going to be the attacker, and the non-phasing player is the defender in these combats. So we're going to pretend that during the movement phase, the Massachusetts militia here, I believe those guys, technicality would be called Patriot Militia, according to the Rhode Island unit description in the rule book. So we're going to say they moved into here, and we're on the West Road, right in Middletown. We're going to say they move into here. Glover's going to be with them. Remember, you're stacking. According to my previous tutorial, the stacking limit is 6 friendly strength points, right? And leaders and markers do not count for stacking purposes. And just a quick refresher, the strength is the first number, movement allowance is the second number. So we're going to put them in here. And then we're going to move Glover in, because your leader will affect your ability to use some of these tactics. So for some of these, if you don't have a leader adjacent or stacked in there, you're not going to be able to use some of the ones in green here. So just a heads up on that. So you really want to think ahead and how you want to plan to do this. So we're going to just say that they've moved in here, and a firefight. The British are trying to hold on to the West Road here. And and they've been ordered, the 22nd Foot has been ordered not to let this Patriot militia pass, and Glover wants to make a maneuver and free up this road, maybe for a drive on Turkey Hill or something like that. If you remember my past video, this is a victory point hex here. All right. Okay. So what happens when this goes in? So we don't have any rifles in this one, like I mentioned before. So who must attack in this game? It's mandatory for all friendly combat units that are adjacent to the enemy. So they must attack something, okay? And this includes any units which may have retreated from fire combat. So, you know, if he retreats into here, he's got to make an attack. All right. All enemy units adjacent to friendly units must be attacked with the exception of a thing called diversion. What is diversion? All right, let me set up an example here. All right, diversion is, you see this has changed a little bit. We've got some light infantry here. So diversion is, during the close combat phase, the phasing player can designate one stack of defending units as receiving a diversion. One stack, it does not say adjacent, it says a stack, okay? So if Glover goes in here with this militia, and maybe he's like, he moved into here and he's like, man, I really want to not worry about this unit this turn because they're a 4-4. You know, he's thinking, yeah, I might be able to really tear these guys up. He can declare a diversion on this stack, right? And then you don't have to attack them. They literally just go off here. You can forget about it. You don't need to worry about attacking them. That allows Glover to focus on the light infantry and maybe tear them up pretty bad with that, you know, 6-1 strength point. So it's a pretty good unit. So you're looking at like 6-1 here. So the diversion is a nice little tactic that you can use. Now, you might say, what's the drawback to a diversion? Well, the drawback is the attacker's units that created a diversion must attack some other enemy unit, right? We're going to do that. All the attacking units which are adjacent to the defending units receiving the diversion are penalized by having the odds column shifted. So that's great that you created a diversion, okay? Let's go a little bit deeper here. That's great that you created a diversion. Thanks a lot. Now, when Shepard goes to attack, he would be a Continental Regular. When this unit says, oh, I'm going to attack this unit, but thanks a lot, now thanks to your diversion, I've got a column shift. So there is a penalty to it, but you can see where it would chain and you might have all sorts of weird stuff going on, but basically Glover wants to ignore this unit and attack this unit. We're going to cancel this unit out with the diversion, but then now when Shepard doesn't need to worry about this unit, but he's got to attack this unit and it's going to be at a column shift. So just be careful when you do that, but that's how diversion works. All right, so let's reset everything. And boom, we're back. Okay, so we're gonna reset everything, and just remember, keep in mind that when you attack a single hex with a bunch of defensive units, they have to be attacked together in a single close combat. Now, attacking units can combine a single attack or attack different units. So say we had this, and you had this. Shepard could attack here, and the Massachusetts militia could attack here. So you could do that, or you could all join up and attack one target and do it that way. Let me think of another instance here. Each close combat must involve either one attacking hex or one defending hex only. So you can't have 2 or more attacking hexes versus 2 or more defending hexes. That's illegal. So you wouldn't be able to like go, he's going to attack and he's going to attack. All right, so just keep in mind that attacking units stacked in a single hex may combine or attack different units, and each unit attacking or defending may only be involved in one close combat per player turn. Actually, I take that back. This would be perfectly legal here, I'm sorry. They give a very vague example here on page 7. 2 or more attacking hexes versus 2 or more defending hexes. So I think they're just saying that he can't attack twice, or he wouldn't be able to do this and that. It's kind of a weird thing. But it is legal for these 2 to attack him. So I'm bad on that. All right, so let's reset this again. Put Glover back out here. Pretty good militia too, that 6-4. All right. Now, there's a lot of DRMs involved in this, okay? So if you look on page 8 of the series rules, there is an example of how to attack. So the phasing player announces all your attacks before resolving them. And I kind of wish that there was the East Front series has got those declared attack markers. So we'll declare this as an attack, of course. Pardon the explosion, right? So we're going to declare that as an attack. And you want to do all of those first. And normally you would go ahead and remove pin markers from other units, but we don't have that. Now we want to determine the odds ratio. So here we've got 6-4. Okay. And that comes out to 3-2. So if you want to cheat, you can use your handy table that I printed here, right? Attacker strength point 6-4, 3-2, okay? And the reason they do that is because combat table's got that on. So there's a 3-2 line right here. Okay, we'll be looking at this in a minute. But first we have to get all of our DRMs. So we know our odds are, well, I left a mess on the screen, didn't I? Let's just clear that out, make that cleaner. Oh, I lost Glover. We'll put Glover right up here. So we know we're at 3-2. Let's just remember that. And now we gotta do our DRMs. Okay. First of all, you have to determine who the lead unit's gonna be. All right, so lead unit is kind of like choosing a lead unit in Next War so that you can use that efficiency rating. So the attacker chooses first, he declares the lead unit. Obviously it's gonna be the mass militia here, okay? Must be parade order, which, as you remember my last tutorial, parade order is a good order unit that's not, shattered or anything like that. This unit's morale will be used as a DRM. So, not the best morale, right? So, remember, this is the morale. So, we're already looking at a -1 to the die roll. So, there's a -1 DRM, okay? And this morale is always going to be modified by what your army's current morale status is. So normally you'd look up here and make sure you're not getting a negative morale bonus or anything like that. Morale's normal. We're at the start. We're going to just say that everyone has high morale right now. They're not fatigued and they're not wavering. So we're just going to say that there's no changes there. Okay, just to make it easy. But just keep in mind, don't forget to look up there at that track. Okay, because the morale on this unit's going to be modified by that track. So right off the bat, your initial DRM is going to be a little bit changed. So we're at -1 right now. You can kind of see on the camera where I had, I'm going to turn this flash on. There we go. Where I had a previous, I was writing something on here before. I didn't clean that off too good, did I? Okay, so we're at -1 right now. Also, if there's some sort of adverse combat result, the lead unit's going to be the first one to absorb that. But in this case, there's only one here. So, you could have had like the 43rd Foot and declared them as the lead unit. They're a little bit better, right? So just keep that in mind. They're going to take the punishment. There's another stipulation on page 8 about lead units and prohibited terrain. If you pick a lead unit that cannot advance into a certain terrain, you can't do that. Like, say you pick a lead unit that can't go into like the woods or something, you can't pick them because there's a chance they might get to advance, and if they can't go into that terrain, you can't pick that unit as a lead unit. So just a heads up on that, but you can read all deeper into that. Okay. Now, you'll notice that as soon as the attacker declares the lead unit, the defender may immediately, if there was a defender here with cavalry or Indians, they can immediately say, whoa, hold on, I'm going to use pre-combat withdrawal, and they could try to escape the battle right away. Like, just get out and not even roll dice. But you have to have cavalry or an Indian unit, and that is covered, I believe, under 12.4, but we're not going to do that here. So just keep that in mind, that the defender might skedaddle, but that's not going to happen here. These guys are locked in. Now we have a whole bunch of DRMs to determine. Before you roll the die, the players check the close combat DRM chart to see what additional adjustments will be made. Keep in mind that if you have an all militia stack, I think there's a nasty penalty. I can't remember. Let me see if I can look that up. There was something about all militia. Oh, all the attacking units are militia is defender benefit, which is interesting. So we might be seeing that here because this is Patriot Militia. Yes. Now, under the Rhode Island rules, let me just check the game-specific rules. I actually forgot to look this up. Anything special about Patriot Militia? Glover is a one-star general. So he's considered a brigadier general. And then there's Green, Major General Green, and Major General Sullivan in this one. I don't see anything special about Patriot Militia. Let me just double check. I want to make sure nothing weird goes on here. Okay, no, there's nothing listed in there. All right. Got to check those specific game rules sometimes. Okay. So now you have a host of DRMs that you're going to look at. All of these bad boys here. Okay, so we already know that we're at -1 due to the morale here. Let's take a look at what else we got. All right, so the first one that we look at is the net morale of the attacker's lead unit, including army morale level effect. We already checked that. Stays -1. Now let's check the close combat DRM of attacker's commanding leader. So here's the leader counter. I have to remember to make sure I get all these right here. Here's the close combat DRM, the leadership DRM, that's for rallying, and here's his movement allowance. So Glover is going to entitle a +1 due to his leadership. Okay, so that's going to cancel out that negative, okay? So that's good news. So Glover brings it back up, all right? There's no offshore bombardment. Any defending unit is disrupted or shattered? Nope. All defending units are in a swamp or bog? Nope. Any attacker is dragoon versus entirely disrupted shattered units? Nope. That would be like dragoons just smashing into a frightened Patriot unit and then slashing him down. Are all the defending units militia? No. Is the defender surrounded? Nope. Okay, let's see what the benefit is for the defender. Let's take a look now at defender benefit. The net morale we already did. Close combative leaders? No. All attacking units are militia. That is true. Okay, so that's going to be another -1. So now we're back to -1. My marker's given out. So we are back to a -1 because all the attacking units are militia. And I hope that for purpose of this, I hope that those guys are considered militia. In the Rhode Island book, it says Patriot Militia. So if there's anything special about that I don't know, let me know. If Patriot Militia cancels out something. I don't see any special rules, though, for Patriot Militia. But who knows? I could miss something. All right, so we're going to give them a -1 there because, you know, the militia is not the best trained units. Are the units attacking across a stream or upslope? Nope. Are they attacking across a ford or bridge? Nah. Unbreached fieldworks? Nah. Are the defending units in a Newport City hex? This isn't even the Newport map. Is the attacker surrounded? No. Okay. So I'm reading a -1. That's all we got right there. Just -1 so far. Now it's going to come down to the tactics cards. The tactics cards might give us one final change here. So let's see what we can do. What are the Brits going to do in this? What are the Patriots going to do? You know, I mean, the Brits might, you know, are they going to, they'll probably try to stand fast, right? They don't want to give up the road. They might pull this card. The Americans might, what might they do? You know, they might do like a frontal assault, something like that. We could just say that that's what they picked. They need to clear the Brits off that road. So what if, you know, we put these two cards out. Let me zoom out a little bit. What they'll do is you'll each pick a tactics card. All right. And then you'll reveal the tactics card. The Americans are going to do a frontal assault down the road because they feel like that's a pretty strong unit. And the Brits are going to stand fast. Okay, now the mistake I made once before was I was adding, also doing the morale of that. You only use that morale on the counter when you're considered the attacker, just a heads up. All right, so let's go with that. What else could the Patriots have done? If you look at the tactics card, if I wanted to pick frontal assault, if you look at this chart, I hope you can see that. If I wanted to pick a frontal assault, okay, it requires a leader. Some of these other ones requires a leader and an open flank. I'll let you read the rules on open flank, but basically it involves having an open hex where you can do a flanking maneuver. So it's a good thing I checked the chart. What makes having a leader there, they can do the frontal assault, right? Now the Brits, they don't have a leader, so they can only choose these things in tan. So I'm going to do the frontal assault. Let's see how that works against the stand fast. Probably not too good. So you each pick a tactics card, okay? Then you're going to reveal the card. The Brits are going to stand fast, and the Americans are going to frontal assault. Suicide? We'll find out, I guess. All right, so frontal assault. You want to look here, and these should be asymmetric, like they should give the same type of result. All right, so that's probably not going to work out for the best. Let's see. So you want to read down the attack column to stand fast, -1. Okay. The defend column to frontal assault, -1. So they do match up. So that's another -1 DRM. I guess that makes sense. We're at -2. Because you're slamming headfirst into a British unit that might have fixed bayonets, etc. So now we're at -2. This may not work out so great. So that's how the tactics cards works. Let's see what the solo version would have had us pick. Let's take a look at this. We're engaging with a leader, and I think we're looking at right here. Engage with a leader, but the enemy has no leader. Flank is not possible. Well, I think a flank would have been possible. So I think we're looking at, let me read the definition of flank. I'll be honest, that's one thing I did not look up. Let me see what flank is. All right. Okay. There must be one empty hex adjacent to both players' units. One hex with defending units in it and one hex with attacking units in it. There must be one empty hex adjacent to both players' units. Okay, well there is. And a friendly leader must be stacked with or adjacent to at least one unit involved in close combat. The unit does not have to be the lead unit. Okay. Let's see here. Flanks may not be turned or refused if the only empty hex is prohibited for the lead unit. One leader can meet the eligible requirements. Okay, so technically you could do a flank here. Turn flank or refuse flank. So let's see what this would have picked. So we have engage with the leader. The enemy has no leader, but flank possible. So I think we're looking here, and we would roll a 10-sided die, right? And I think then that would give us what we should pick, like a 6. We would do attack an echelon. So we should have picked that. It wants us to pick that. Okay, interesting. So while they're standing fast, they wanted us to pick Let's see what that would have done. Let's see what that would have done here. Let's see if the solo thing's right. So, attacking, make sure I got this right. Well, I got my colors mixed up. Let me get a different color, hold on. The joys of recording live. So much fun. All right, let me put that over there. That goes back in that stack. All right, hold on, give me a second. There we go, blue one. All right. So attacking against stand fast, +1. And stand fast, +1. Okay, interesting. So in that case, the solo thing was right. That's very interesting. Okay. So basically, when you read the attack card, so here's the defender, right? Stand fast. So you go to the defend column, echelon, +1. Here, you're attacking stand fast, +1. So Joel Toppin's bot was correct there. Very interesting. All right, we'll go with that. And that'll put us back up to just a -1 DRM. And that's pretty much it. I hope I did that rule right. There is an empty space. There must be one empty hex adjacent to both players' units. There must be one empty hex adjacent to both players' units. Okay. And a friendly leader must be stacked with or adjacent to at least one unit involved in the close combat, which we do have. Okay. Makes sense. All right. So reading over the rules, I hope I did that right. Okay. So we're at -1. Now, don't forget that when you have those momentum chits that I talked about. Okay. Don't forget that those come into play, and we're going to resolve this, and then you could spend momentum. Remember, you can spend that and influence the combat. So if you've earned momentum chits, like we discussed in the first video, you could technically spend that to influence the die roll. We'll pretend that, we're not going to use momentum here. So, all right, so now we're going to resolve our combat, and we get a die. Where's my die tower? Okay, got to have the satisfying clunk here of the die roll. All right, we're going to set that up. Okay, so close combat's resolved by rolling the die, applying the DRMs, and cross-referencing it with the odds ratio. Okay, there's going to be a left side of the slash and a right side. So let's see what we get. Ooh, okay, well, there's a 9. So 8. And it's been a while since I played this, and I can't remember if that's good or bad. Okay, so we're at 3-2, and we get a final total of an 8. And the attacker suffers nothing, but the defender suffers a D. And what is a D? That is a disruption. So it looks like the higher was better there. So you would go to your bag of markers. And I think that's pretty much what the Patriots wanted, All right, you're going to go to your bag of markers here. And you are going to... Now, some people definitely don't like the look of these disruption markers. They're not the prettiest things. We're going to throw that on top. And you're going to get a disruption. Now, once you've done the roll for combat and you see what's going to happen, that's where you could use a momentum decision. The players holding the fewest momentum chits, the defender wins ties, may choose to spend 1, return it, and return to the resolve close combat step and re-roll the die. So you could spend a momentum chit, which I don't... Do I not have any of those out? Probably not. I don't think I was planning on showing that. Anyway, you could spend a momentum chit and say, hey, re-roll that. If he decides to use the momentum, the other player may choose to expend a momentum chit to return back to that and re-roll that die. Multiple momentum chits may be spent by one or both sides, but only one may be spent each time this step is reached. Okay? So if I spend a chit, it's going to kick you back, re-roll. Then you're going to go, no. The other guy's going to go, I don't like that. Spend a chit, reroll, it kicks you back. All right. This sequence is an attempt to ensure that the player entering a battle with the most momentum has the best chance to be the last player to call for a reroll. Okay, that's the editor's note, design note. All right, so we apply the results. The close combat results are applied before proceeding to the next close combat. So I finished this one. I might have another one. what does disruption do? Let's take a look here. Disruption, I'm going to go and find that real quick. The owning player retreats the affected unit 3 hexes. All right, so the Brits have gotten smashed. 1, 2, 3. They're going to go straight back and head up Turkey Hill, kind of like a defensive thing here. They know they got a slope up there, and they are going to retreat. The other friendly units in the close combat and the defender's artillery must make a morale check. Okay, so there's no other friendly units, but if you had another British unit in the combat and they see that line break and shatter, they're going to have to make a morale check. Okay. If they fail that morale check, they too will fall back a hex because they start to break. If someone was already disrupted, they become shattered. If it's shattered, they get eliminated. Okay. I forgot exactly. Man, it's been a while since I forgot what disrupted does. And it definitely affects movement. Disrupted units may only move 1 hex per turn. If adjacent to enemy units, they must attempt to move away from as many as possible. So getting disrupted really affects your movement speeds, and I believe there is a combat. Let's see. Is there a disrupted combat? Yep. It's a +1 to your die roll if the enemy unit is disrupted or shattered. And again, you can remove that marker during the morale phase. Okay. So that's your basics right there. That is, it seems lengthy when I explain it, but you know, if both players pick withdraw, right, you'll actually have no combat, and I've seen that happen before, where you pull back and you avoid combat. So interesting what the solo bot had us do, but I rolled really good too. So, you know, that kind of helps. Now there is an advance after combat. If the defender's hex becomes vacant, the attacker must advance with at least the lead unit. So the lead unit, of course, was our militia. They are going to move up, and other units which participated may advance up to the stacking limit, including units which had to take a morale check and passed. So Glover's going to go with them, you know. And that's basically it. Now, there is, before you would do the advance, you can gain or lose momentum. You might be like, well, how do I get more momentum? And that's at 12.63 in your rule book. All right. The defender would have gained a momentum during the gain momentum step whenever the final close combat die roll is less than or equal to -1. Well, that didn't happen. The attacker gets one if the attack roll goes over 10, right? Then the other ones, they have some other, the games like Rhode Island rules might have special ways to get a momentum chit also. I'm trying to think of what else might do that. Surrendering is another way to get it. Surrounded, close combat. When all 6 hexes of the defending unit are occupied, the attacker modifies the close combat by +1. Don't forget about that. So that's a good thing. Yeah, I think that's about it. There might be some other special ways to get momentum, but man, it seems like momentum is a difficult thing to get. You really gotta. Now see the army morale chart adjustment. Initiative -1, unit morale. I can't find any other ones. There might be something. If you people know of other ways to get it, let me know. But that's the basics of close combat. You know, you have your leader, the DRM. You have to pick a lead unit. You can do a withdrawal if you have Indians or cavalry. You might be able to do a pre-combat withdrawal. And again, the Rhode Island game seems fairly simple because some of this, you know, the rifle units aren't even there. So when you retreat, a unit must retreat into a hex that's not adjacent to an enemy unit. In addition, you must retreat towards a friendly map edge if possible. Hopefully I did. Oh, I probably did not do that right. Toward a friendly map edge. Oh boy. I may have done that. See specific game rules for definition of friendly edge. Well, let's look at Rhode Island here. I forgot to check that. That's my fault. Rhode Island. What is considered... The British player retreats toward the south, southeast, or southwest, if possible. I don't know. And then there's a map that they have, a retreat priority. Let me just check that real quick. Special units for Newport. See the map for retreat priority. So north is that way. Oh yeah, they do want you to go that way, if possible though. I'm not sure it would have been possible here to retreat that way, unless it is legal for me. No, I have to go away from the enemy unit, and that would be toward. I don't think that was something, unless I go like here, and I don't know if that was possible. Let's see. And again, we're looking at the Rhode Island one here. The British player retreats toward the south, southeast, or southwest. Okay, so... Ooh, yeah, because south is this way, right? I probably should have flipped this example because the Americans come in from over here. So if we flipped this, just bear with me here, they would go this, they would definitely go this way, right? Because the Americans are going to be coming in from that side of the map. That's north here in this example. So my bad right there. Retreat priorities. And you can find that on your map here. The retreat priorities for the Brits are the red. And you can see that way. And the Patriots are that way. So the way I set that up was not legit in this map example. So just to make it fair, we'll say it was coming this way and they had to fall back, but you get the gist. All right, any other special rules for retreat? Let's just take a look here. You may not retreat into an enemy-occupied hex. You can't retreat into an enemy ZOC. You can't go into prohibited terrain, and you cannot retreat off the map. Fairly standard stuff, right? Let's see, what else do we have? Disrupted units may only move 1 hex per turn, may not move adjacent to an enemy unit. If a disrupted unit starts next to an enemy unit, they must use its 1 hex move to move away from all enemy units. They cannot attack. Artillery and rifle units cannot fire. They defend with only half their SPs. They have no zone of control. Okay, so they get shattered if they get an additional disrupted result. So nasty. Nasty, nasty. During the morale phase, you can attempt to clear that. I believe that is covered on page 14 of the standard series rules. 14, the rally phase and unit morale. The player's disrupted or shattered units that are not in an enemy's ZOC may attempt to rally. A unit attempts to rally by making a morale check. A leader in command may modify the rally attempt of units in the same hex. So if the Brits wanted to attempt to rally this unit, they could, they'd have to have a leader on here, right? Otherwise, you're just going to make a standard morale roll to try to make that pass. And you don't forget that you also have the modifications up there. Okay, so that is about it for this game. Like I said in the previous video, it's going to come down to the specific rules for the game that you're playing. That's going to make it complicated or not complicated. So, but that's the basics of how you use those tactics cards and that solo. The solo sheet and things like that make it interesting. If you don't want to figure out all the different tactics and the crazy stuff, then use the solo charts, right? I mean, obviously I picked poorly. So the solo charts got me a +1 DRM that I wouldn't have had. And until you play the game and look at the cards and study them and think, oh, he's got a leader, so he can't do this. So the best way I can get a +1 is to maybe do this. And that's how you want to, approach it. But until I get that smart, I'm going to go with my gut. My gut was not too good. So, all right. So that's it for this video. I'm also going to put up a unboxing of Fantasy Flight's Descent, the new version. I like to call it version 3. But the new Descent uses an app. It's fully automated and fully co-op. Thank God, because the Descent with the Overlord was annoying. And so I'm going to be doing an unboxing of that I did live at my friend's house. And then I think we're going to hit Crimean Shield, possibly. I got some other games coming in. And I want to look at Panzer Grenadier. All right. If I screwed anything up, let me know. Questions, comments below. That is Great Battles of the American Revolution. Thanks for watching. This is Hudson signing out.